Hey everyone, before we get into the topic of the video, I'm going to give some fairly quick channel updates. The first one is the FI series is on indefinite hiatus. Now the reason for this is because of the way I'm going to be doing my reviews for now on. The writing of the FI series would definitely be a step back. And it's going to be replaced with something different, which I'm currently editing. It's like halfway done. It will premiere next Friday. So definitely do look forward to that. And also, I'm going to be doing a discography run for an artist. Now that artist, I'm going to keep a surprise until the video is up. But it's going to be coming out in 2 weeks about, I would like to say. Now, it is a Japanese artist. It is a Japanese heavier artist overall, I would say. So definitely do look forward to that, especially since I know quite a few of you are subscribed for more of the J-Rock stuff. So I feel like that'll make a lot of you guys pretty happy. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to the question, which was, what is the most your opinion has changed on an album? Something along those lines. Forgive me if I didn't quote the question correctly, but I think you guys get the point. Now, I think what makes this question really interesting is obviously I had my own like regret artist from my adolescence. However, I feel like that's a cop out, so I won't use that. And also because my opinion does change a lot on can change a lot on music. I want to say it changes on everything like all the time, but definitely when I hear new things, it can kind of change my perspective on something I heard before. Like, it can make me like something more, like something less, that sort of thing. I know that's kind of vague, but what I'm trying to say is, like, the more different stuff I listen to, the more my perception changes. And that's kind of a good thing. I kind of feel like you definitely should always be looking to sort of expand your horizons, and so to speak. That's definitely something I do tend to work on. And also, I've been listening to like a lot of music the last few months. Obviously, with catching up for 2020, hearing all these different albums, and then doing the um, hearing of like other albums and like whatever genre fix I'm in right now. Like right now, I've been listening to been trying to check out a lot of newer K-pop that's come out because that's a genre that until Blackpink I really hadn't touched before. So I'm definitely listening to a lot of that to sort of just get more familiar with that and that sort of thing, and also because I've been having a lot of fun doing it. I've also been doing some runs of listening through an artist's discography. I've done that with a few artists, like one that I've never heard like an entire album from prior, and that was Black Sabbath. That I did entire like listening through their discography in June, I think. It was either June or May, 1 to 2 months. And then right now I'm doing Under Oath. Now Under Oath is sort of a revisit because they were my gateway heavy band, so to speak. So yeah. Now for the question, the biggest change I can think of right off the bat is from the same band. And you want to make it even crazier? Both albums came out in 2019. Alright? One change was a positive change, the other one was more negative, alright? So, and these are both albums from Bring Me the Horizon. Now, I should start out with the one that my opinion changed on positively, and that was Ammo, like very positively. So the thing with Bring Me the Horizon was for a good while, I wouldn't say I would honest I'm gonna be honest and say that I wasn't exactly a fan of them, if you know what I'm saying. Like I remember first hearing Ammo, like I think this was I'm trying to remember what month it was last year when I first heard the album, and I just remember absolutely hating it. Um, And obviously, again, that should be noted that I did at the time have a bias against Bring Me the Horizon. That is something that I will fully admit that when I heard the album, that I was just very anti against the band. And so of course, I think if I were to have reviewed the album like at the time that I was heard it for the first time, I feel like that review I probably would have given it a very harsh score, like at like 2 out of 10. That's kind of being generous. I think that should tell you just how like much of a, I guess you can say, weird hatred I had for the band at the time. But now I'm honestly a fan of them, and when I heard music to listen to, the pray to, the place to, the sleep to, the talk to, which by the way is going to be the album I'm going to talk about, which was more negative on my opinion shift. That was when I was starting to become a fan. So, but I've actually listened to Ammo a lot, honestly. Like it's definitely one of my most listened to albums the last year. And honestly, right now, if I were to have made my top, if I were to have made the top 10 best albums of 2019 at the top 20 list, Ammo would have definitely been on it. Like, this album has grown on me a lot. There's so much I love about it now that I'm so glad I was able to separate the whole Bring Me the Horizon bad thing, in which I'm honestly kind of ashamed to have gone through such a phase for such a silly reason. I think uh, my main reason was like, I don't know, it's probably for something petty, like band feud or whatever. I really don't remember the reason, but I'm glad that that's definitely something that's definitely been past me. There's just so much that I do love about the record now. I do love, like, it's not like, it's also really hard record to describe stylistically, because I know that people describe it as like rock and pop, but it's not really that simple. Like, you know, you had one song that went to new metal territory. You had another which was like, I'm sorry if I'm listing long genre, but dark dark synth. Talking about Nihilist Blues, of course. Yeah, there was a straight up pop song with the mother tongue, but that song is actually really, really good in my opinion. You had just a lot of really interesting sounds going on that record, which I just absolutely like, really, really love. Um, and honestly, it is probably one of my favorite Bring Me the Horizon records. Yeah. Now on to music to listen to, the praise to, the praise to, the prior to, the deep, yeah. So in my initial review, I think I gave this like a 7 out of 10. I was one of the few people about this album that was positive, but now my opinion has changed drastically. Like, even now, as a fan of the band, this album is just one big pass for me, pal. Um, I think one thing that really hurts this album is that how it kind of feels not only disjointed, but like it's just like everything is like kind of like all these different ideas are just like crammed into each other, like trying to get them to fit. Um, because this album is largely based off of like rejects from the Ammo sessions, basically. Like, they took all this stuff from Ammo that didn't make it in, and then just threw it into this thing for some reason, and it left like it's just basically one big mess that some people will say is trying way too hard to be artsy. Now, is it like the worst thing I've ever heard? Kind of bad, but no, but it's definitely is like really bad. It's not something that has very many redeeming qualities, and which, by the way, does have some redeeming qualities. I'm going to talk about a few of the positives that I do have about that project as a whole. I do like the orchestral track. I think it was called something like a liberating something. I don't remember the name of it. And then there was also the Lotus Eater section in the underground big part, which was a lot of fun, especially when he comes in with the I, 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 like that thing. I do think that that was really good. And then, of course, you go into the really annoying electronic section where Ollie is giving this ASMR vegan rant, which is just really out of place. There's just a lot of things on the music to listen to that is just a hard pass. It's one of those albums which it's okay, no, it's technically an EP, but let's be real, it's the longest release that Bring Me Horizon has ever put out at like an hour and 10 minutes. I'm counting it as a full album, okay? It is going to be probably the only album where nothing from it will be played live. So, yeah. And the album really doesn't invoke much out of me. Like, it's more of a, it's not like one of those bad where it's like, you know, you just get mad while listening to it. It's just the kind of bad where you're just like, oh, this song still has 10 minutes to go? Well, I know Bring Me the Horizon, we're trying to be a prog band. You know, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of not the most interesting answer to this question, but it's one that definitely came up to me on the top of my head. Now, I should mention that I may do a ranking of Bring Me the Horizon's discography in the future because I have listened to everything, and I mean everything, including like the bedroom sessions and this is what the Edge of Your Sea was made for. And in terms of their studio albums, this is kind of a spoiler. Aside from music to listen to, I do think all their studio albums are really good. So that's definitely something that should be said. Just my perspective on it. And obviously I could spend like a good amount of time gushing about other Bring Me the Horizon albums, like Sempiternal, There Is a Hell, that sort of thing. But I feel like that should be saved for that video. I'm also currently trying to think of, on the top of my head, a Japanese artist that my opinion has changed on drastically. Let's see here. Okay, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say drastic, but I did recently revisit the album Yellow by Scandal, and that album was an album that was definitely one of the soundtracks of like my graduation of high school in 2016. However, one problem I found with that album is a lot of songs that are more in this typical Scandal style are kind of, how do I put this? They're kind of weaker compared to what the band has done before. However, one thing the album Yellow does really well is that it's a very experimental album. Like there's songs all over the place. Like there's even a reggae song which somehow does work really well. Love Me Do is one of the most innocently wholesome and adorable songs I've ever heard, and I just absolutely love it. So I still really do like the album. However, I do feel like my intense hype of it being like this definitive Japanese pop rock, pop punk experience or J rock album. I know some people are gonna say it's not pop punk, but at the time I did label Scandal as a pop punk band, so I guess you get some context why I'm saying that. But as this like grand J rock album that's like so essential that everyone needs to listen to it, sort of thing, I do feel my opinion on that has died down a little. And at one point, I thought it was my favorite Scandal album. Granted, I haven't heard their whole discography yet. I've mainly only heard Hello World, Yellow, and Kiss in Darkness. However, at the time, obviously, Kiss in Darkness was not out. I guess that's the other thing that shifted is I also heard Hello World recently, and my opinion on that album has definitely improved drastically. I remember first hearing it, I think it was more like a singles album, but now I just really like a lot of the stuff that the band did there. I definitely do feel that's an album where their sound was definitely honed really good. I think it was also the first like Bandmade. I remember very similar to the Bandmade where the band started out their first few albums with other people writing the music, and then they started to write the music on their own. I think that Hello World was the first music they wrote on their own. The first album where they wrote the music on their own, and thought it turned out really well. So yeah, that's I think a case where my opinion shifted on a Japanese album. But yeah, I could honestly list like several different albums where my opinion has like shifted, um, whether one way or another, whether good or bad. But then again, like I'm not saying this because my opinion's going to change on an album all the time, which is fine. You know, sometimes my opinion on the album will remain the same, regardless of how controversial that opinion is. Like if I like an album that everyone else is like critically panning, or if I dislike an album that everyone just absolutely loves, um, which is fine. I do feel like the world would honestly be a very boring place if we all agreed on everything. So I definitely do think it's good for us to have differing opinions. I also think it's really cool to have differing opinions, and also for me to hear how people feel about something that they're a fan of that I'm not, and vice versa. So I definitely do think it's good to sort of hear some. Is discourse the right word? But yeah, sorry if this turned into a little bit of a weird rant, but I think the end of the day, my whole thought here is like I guess like life, music's kind of like life. Your opinion is going to evolve on how you perceive things. So I think it's just really cool. There's definitely a lot of music that I know that my opinion is going to change on in the future, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. This is kind of the weird, um, kind of not Q&A thing, but Q&A thing that is the 100 million. Why did I say 100 million? Oh my gosh, I'm getting like so cocky. 100 subscriber special. I don't know why I said a million. That was the worst thing I've said. That's like, I'm not T series, guys. Like, I think I'm just out of myself as T series when I said 100 million. That's not even possible. But like I said, excuse me, I do not care for numbers. Um, I'm just honestly glad that to even have reached 100 subscribers, like that is definitely something that I wasn't even sure was going to happen. Obviously, with my channel, before I did the reviews, my channel was kind of a weird limbo of like, you know, weird stuff, like nothing like illegal, but like, obviously there was the GMVs, a like some fan videos for the superhero Silk. And then there was also some really bad covers. Like I know that some of my covers that have been posted in the last year have not gained a lot of positive reception, though I've had some good constructive criticism. I can speak that has definitely helped me out, and I've definitely been working on all those things. But those old videos from like I think 2015 or older maybe were really bad, especially in ones from I think there's one in 2013 where obviously, like speaking of Under Oath, I was doing covers of like at the time, and pretty much I was doing like the biggest pet peeve for a lot of metal people when I was doing those covers, and that is during the low parts to make it sound deeper. I was cupping my hands like this to make it sound deeper, doing that sort of thing. This is like a um, huge sin in that community. I think it's like punishable by public execution or something like that. So if you're looking to do this sort of style, the first rule is to never ever do this. It also makes you look really goofy, as I can see from looking in the mirror, or it looks like I'm praying. But yeah, that is sort of my answer. You definitely got a few albums that I mentioned in this video. And like I said, going back to my talking of the way that the channel has changed is now with doing reviews, I've been able to interact with a lot of you guys more, and it's definitely been really cool for you guys to give me suggestions and also to say whether or not you agreed or disagreed. And also, I've been obviously doing documenting my ventures into other territories, such as changing my lifestyle for the better. I apologize that this video is kind of running a little on the longer side. That was not my intention, but I guess that happens when I kind of am spitting ball. I don't know why I said spitting ball. Spitballing. That sounds more accurate. Spitballing, like on the fly, just because this is a video that honestly has been on the back of my mind, but I've been unsure of how to answer it exactly until I decided, you know what, I have to answer this before I like forget about it. So yeah, that's sort of my response on this, and this channel has changed a lot, and it will continue to change. I'm definitely always looking to improve, whether it be improve my editing or improve the way I talk about reviewing albums or, you know, anything. So yeah, it's been a really awesome year. Thank you for everyone who suddenly stopped in and helped revive a channel that was, well, I would say it was dead because it was never live. And I look forward to where we end up next year. So thank you everyone so much for the awesome support over the last year. It means so much to me personally. And with that being said, I would like to thank every single one of you, whether you're watching this video in the day, whether you're watching it at night, or whether you're watching it when you're as a subscriber, as a non-subscriber, whether or not you are only here for one particular type of content with the reviews, like whether it be genre or not, whether or not you just recently came in through the influx of subscribers from the first Let Us Know video that I did, regardless of where you come from, and regardless of how you're stumbling on this video, or I guess all the people who aren't watching this, which is going to be a lot of people, and obviously they're not going to hear me say this, but to those of you that are here, I hope every single one of you has a great